Nobody gave Alex even the slightest opportunity. Not the spectators packed tightly inside Manolo Santana Stadium on that Tuesday afternoon in Madrid, nor the tennis analysts or the betting experts. She walked onto the court as a wildcard entry, a 20-year-old girl from Manila whose serve had already been declared dead and buried by the entire tennis online world. She was facing an opponent who had literally just come back from giving birth and had skyrocketed from world number 421 all the way up to number 11 in the global rankings. This kind of rival is supposed to wrap up the match politely but decisively. And for the opening set, that is exactly what happened. But then everything shifted. Something cracked wide open. 2 hours and 27 minutes later, the entire stadium was standing, and Alex was down on her knees, both hands pressed into the red Madrid clay as tears poured down her face. Because the final score alone does not tell the full story, let's talk about what really unfolded. Belinda Bencic's return to the game is one of the most remarkable comeback stories in modern tennis. In April 2024, she gave birth to her daughter Bella, stepped away from the sport entirely, came back 6 months later ranked 421st in the world. After winning the United Cup for Switzerland and reaching the quarterfinals at Indian Wells, she rebuilt her game step by step, match by match, until she entered Madrid ranked 11th with a 14-5 record for the season. She did not just resume playing tennis. She returned stronger, calmer, and far more dangerous. She had always possessed perfect footwork. Her ability to read speed and redirect it with surgical precision was like music. Her style was perfectly suited for Madrid's high altitude, where the thinner air makes the ball fly faster and reduces the natural grip of topspin. She could control the rally, take the ball early, and stand well inside the baseline without needing to generate huge power herself. She was the clear favorite, and she had earned it. In contrast, Alex arrived in Madrid with only 1 win and 2 losses on clay in 2026, entering as a wildcard. A few weeks earlier, she had been dismantled by Fernandez 6-1, 6-4 in Stuttgart. The week before that, Ostapenko had beaten her. Her serve was still unreliable, a well-known technical flaw that had followed her since she turned professional. Throughout the early part of the season, she had managed just 7 aces while committing double faults at an alarming rate. Her first serve percentage regularly dropped below 60% in several matches, something that would worry any coaching team. On paper, the matchup looked completely lopsided with an obvious outcome. The first set confirmed every single one of those expectations. Alex handed over the set almost willingly. In the first 4 games alone, she served 3 double faults and lost her serve on a ball that barely clipped the net cord. Bencic simply shifted into a higher gear and took the set 6-3. She looked completely relaxed, playing steady baseline tennis, calmly waiting for Alex to self-destruct while collecting the errors without ever having to push herself. And this is where something quietly but importantly began to happen, something whose full meaning would only become clear much later. When you win a set because your opponent is basically beating herself, you can slip into a subtle but dangerous trap. Instead of driving the match with your own strengths, you start viewing everything through the lens of the other player's mistakes. In that first set, Bencic had positioned herself a little deeper in the court than she normally prefers. She was waiting, absorbing, and perfectly content to let Alex implode. For 35 minutes it worked perfectly, but it also meant she never truly brought out her best tennis of the season, which had been defined by aggressive play from inside the baseline. She was winning on Alex's terms, which meant the advantage could vanish completely with just one small tactical adjustment. That adjustment came right at the start of the second set, and it came entirely because of Alex's return game. This is the tactical key to everything that happened in the match, so it deserves real attention. Alex's serve is genuinely problematic and may remain so for some time. At 1.75 meters tall, she lacks the natural leverage that taller players use to generate easy power. Her toss is sometimes inconsistent. Her second serve sits up invitingly. There is no point pretending otherwise. These are real, proven mechanical limitations. Yet every conversation about her serve overlooks the flip side. Her return game operates at a level that most players on the tour would happily trade almost anything to possess. She reads the direction of the serve before the ball even leaves the racket. The angles she creates with her left-handed forehand off the return are impossible for right-handed players to match from the same position on the court. She takes the ball on the rise with a compact, heavy stroke that kills incoming pace and immediately puts the server under positional pressure, even before the rally has properly begun. She has trained at the Rafa Nadal Academy since she was 13 years old. Everything there is built around return drills. Nadal himself went on to enjoy one of the greatest careers in sports history. Bencic's backhand was the biggest source of worry. In the second set, Alex began attacking Bencic's second serve with an intensity and accuracy that had been totally missing in the first set. On second serve points, she stepped 2 full steps inside the baseline and hammered return after return deep and heavy into Bencic's backhand corner, game after game. This created a growing problem that worsened with every exchange. Bencic's backhand is her more reliable side but not her more aggressive one. When pushed deep and wide to that wing, she usually plays safe and deep, neutralizing rather than attacking. That approach works well against most opponents on the tour. It creates a rally shape that gradually and patiently pulls the server farther and farther out of position until something finally breaks, especially against a left-hander who is already inside the court and hunting the next ball to redirect with force. The break came in the fifth game. After Bencic delivered a safe cross-court return, Alex stepped around her own backhand and unleashed an inside-out forehand that landed flat on the baseline. From that moment, the Swiss player's body language changed noticeably. Before serving, she started bouncing the ball more often. She kept looking toward her coaching box. In an effort to dominate the return and avoid the problem entirely, she began going for bigger first serves. That mindset, that urgency, that desperate search for a solution is exactly what Alex's game is built to provoke through sheer pressure. As soon as a server starts pressing, the margins shrink and double faults increase. In the eighth game alone, Bencic hit 2 double faults. Alex won the second set 6-4 and the entire tone of the match transformed. The third set felt completely different. It was not pretty or clean, but it was genuinely gripping in the way only raw, high-pressure tennis between two players who both desperately want to win can be. Both knew exactly what was at stake. If Bencic lost this clay court match against an unseeded wildcard, her comeback season, which had been building real momentum and respect since January, would suffer a serious blow. For Alex, beating a top 15 player on the very surface that had publicly and brutally exposed her weaknesses would completely change how people viewed her talent level. Those high stakes did not make the tennis cautious or nervous, they produced the opposite effect. In the first 6 games alone, there were 4 service breaks. Alex broke, Bencic broke back immediately. Alex broke again right away and Bencic broke once more. Neither player had a reliable enough serve to provide any real safety, so the match felt almost chaotic and lawless. In the third set, Alex's first serve percentage dropped to 51%. Bencic was 54%. Both were leaking points on serve. The only difference was who could manage that leakage better under rising pressure. In such conditions, tiny edges carry enormous weight. Alex had already played several matches on these Madrid courts earlier in the tournament. She knew exactly how this particular red clay behaved, slightly faster than Rome or Roland Garros, with a skid that punishes players who arrive late to the ball. She was familiar with the erratic swirling of the afternoon wind through the open roof of the Caja Magica. She also knew the long shadows that stretch across the baseline in the final moments of an evening session. Madrid was by no means a comfortable surface for her, but it was a familiar, uncomfortable one. In a match where both players were struggling to hold serve, that familiarity carried value that no statistics column could ever measure. The decisive moment arrived with Bencic serving at 4-5 in the ninth game. She fought hard to hold and tried to push the pressure back onto Alex to serve out the set. The long, exhausting game was full of lead changes and tension. Bencic fired her fastest serve of the entire match, 172 km/h, to save one break point, and for a brief moment it looked like she might hold. Then she double faulted. Another break point followed. Alex chipped a low return that stayed below Bencic's ideal contact zone and skidded sharply off the clay. The Swiss player reached down and tried to scoop a forehand from well below her knees. The ball